Good evening, I'm Jerry Sefer. Welcome to Business PNG, your weekly look at business news and updates. Rental accommodation in the city has been a subject of concern for many working-class individuals. The number of people moving into towns and cities over the years has increased. Thus, finding affordable accommodation has affected everyone at one stage or another.
The influx of people moving to towns and cities over the years has increased, thus creating a massive demand for residential housing within the market. However, finding affordable accommodation is a serious issue that many have to contend with. One of the most frustrating things the working class people have faced in Port Moresby is the exorbitant property prices. Whether properties are for sale or for lease, the prices are beyond most working class individuals. In affluent neighborhoods such as downtown Port Moresby and Korobosea, places can go on rent for as much as 6,000 to 7,000 kina per week.
The demand on the lower market is a lot, and we're looking in the 500 up towards the 1,500 to 2,000 mark. In the upper level, between 4 to upwards, it's sort of quieting down a bit at the moment, isn't it? I'd be right saying that. And I think that's because a lot of, I think it is because there's a lot of supply, okay? And the demand is in the lower market and not the high market, okay? There's a lot of new buildings, a lot of landlords are now smart and they have been renovating their properties to new, and they are getting the rates that they are asking for in whichever market that they are in. Okay, so there's different levels of market. You look at all different areas of Boroko. Boroko, you'd be looking between the 800 to 3,000 per week. In Gordon's areas, you'd be looking around the same areas. But if you go to the town area, you'd be looking up at the top, probably about 1,500 being the lowest, depending on the location in town. If you're looking at Konidobo area, between 1,500 to 2,000. If you're going up to Toguba area, you're looking at 4,000 to 8,000. So it depends on the areas, the location. That's the huge.
There is a shortage of properties in the lower end of the market, while the number of properties within the top half are numerous. There's a lot of demand for rental properties from the middle to lower end of the range, and due to the limited supply to cater for this demand, this may be a contributing factor to the increase in rentals.
It's been a mismatch, imbalance between the availability of affordable housing. Affordable housing, because nobody has been building affordable housing when National Housing Corporation stopped building, and institutional houses were given away in giveaway schemes. There has been very little growth of stock of affordable housing. So when you don't have affordable housing, when you don't have an institution that's constantly supplying housing to the housing market, housing is provided by the market, and market is driven by supply and demand. If there are people willing to pay, then the prices of houses increase, and that's also for land, they increase. So the affordability aspect is gone to the wayside when you don't match it with demand.
Because of the limited supply to the demand, in 2010 it was reported that there were 20 planned settlements in Port Moresby and 79 unplanned settlements. This is according to the United Nations Habitat document on Port Moresby's urban profile. Back then, the city had a population of just over 400,000 people, 45% of whom lived in settlements. Today, despite the fact that housing loans are available in various financial institutions, it is still very difficult for many people to obtain one.
I think not many people are able to get a home loan due to the high cost of housing and properties in the country. Other contributing factors are non-availability of land, inability to provide equity. The market has experienced rising property prices in the last 4 to 5 years, but we've seen recently that rental prices have started to decline. But despite this, the overall property market prices have not decreased. This is because although there is still a demand, the supply of housing is low. And this lack of supply is keeping our property prices high and home ownership out of many people's grasps.
After the break, the Vodafone Be Mobile partnership that has the business world talking. Don't go anywhere. Under a new marketing arrangement, state-owned enterprise Be Mobile will now be known as Be Mobile Vodafone. Be Mobile will benefit from access to the international telecommunications company under the non-equity agreement and thus will be for branding purposes for a lifespan of 10 years.
Papua New Guinea's third telecommunication operator, Be Mobile, recently signed a partnership arrangement with the global giant Vodafone UK. Under a new marketing arrangement, state-owned enterprise Be Mobile will now be known as Be Mobile Vodafone.
With the entry of Vodafone into this partnership, Be Mobile can be able to reinvent itself. Be Mobile can be able to position itself much better by using the global Vodafone network. It will be able to use the Vodafone regional network to position itself appropriately in the PNG telecommunication market, especially in the mobile sector.
The partnership, announced early last month between Be Mobile and Vodafone, will be for marketing and branding purposes for a lifespan of 10 years.
Vodafone UK is the world's largest mobile carrier. They have 434 million customers and they're in 78 markets. So this is almost like the equivalent of Exxon coming into the LNG project. This in the communication industry is the equivalent. They have 90,000 employees, and as Minister said, this is sales marketing but also their technical expertise.
This partnership means Be Mobile will have access to Vodafone's buying power, technical expertise, and access to all its resources with over 78 markets and 50 partner networks globally.
This is sales marketing but also their technical expertise. They buy 65 million handsets a month. So what that means is we get the access to their buying power. When we negotiate with our suppliers, they are the largest customer of Huawei, which is our supplier as well. So these benefits that come are deep and they're tremendous for us.
Be Mobile has always had a volatile history with frequent changes in management, under-resourced and with limited capacity. It has hardly dented the Papua New Guinean telecommunications market. Last October, the PNG government invested $85 million in the company following the collapse of a deal with the Fiji National Provident Fund to recapitalize the telco. This strategic partnership with Be Mobile will enable the state-owned enterprise to expand their presence in Asia Pacific and extend the reach of their products and services across the region. It will also deliver enhanced roaming benefits for both consumers and multinational corporate customers.
It's truly tremendous when you understand how deep their technical resources run. And when it comes to how will it benefit Papua New Guinea, the key thing is having access to handsets, having access to technology, being able to have one SIM that roams all over the world for a cheap price, or for Australian Vodafone customers, one SIM, and they can have their PNG number on it and their Australian number on it, so they don't need to have two SIMs. This is the power.
Be Mobile now has 200 locations around the country, and the plan is to be in another 200 to 300 locations within 24 months. The agreement is for a minimum of 5 years and firstly involved a rebranding exercise. Ramamurthy also agreed that the plan, which includes building towers in the highlands as well as coastal areas and where road is easy to access, is ambitious, but while his focus is now on mobile phone services, he says he'll be thinking about add-on services later. As the telecommunications landscape in PNG develops, more players enter bringing advanced technologies.
There's opportunities that are still available for extending the telecommunication infrastructures both by Digicel and now Vodafone Be Mobile and PNG Telecom and any other new players that come into the telecommunication scene into that potential market that is still available to be saturated.
Buying airtime is another basic issue facing Be Mobile customers. In PNG, the primary aim is to move towards electronic vending. At the moment, they're selling physical cards, and that's like moving cash. So the aim is to move people to more secure forms and more easily accessible forms of being able to purchase airtime. Ramamurthy says Telecom and Be Mobile need to have a good working relationship, as so much of Be Mobile's network is reliant on Telecom. As Telecom moves from wholesaler to retailer, Be Mobile and Telecom need a close relationship. Be Mobile will benefit from access to the international telecommunication company under the non-equity agreement.
You're watching Business PNG. More when we come back. Stay with us. And now we bring you some business news before we wrap things up. Papua New Guinea will continue to be the major trade investor apart from being a donor agency and main regional player assisting smaller Pacific nations, according to Prime Minister Peter O'Neill. The Prime Minister met with various leaders of the Pacific in Palau, talking about the bilateral relations and trade investments with Niue, Samoa, Vanuatu, Cook Islands and Solomon Islands. PNG has huge investments in Solomon Islands, Fiji, Vanuatu, and is looking at trade investments in Palau, Samoa and Niue. O'Neill said PNG has an obligation to take the lead in assisting all these Pacific nations through trade and being a major donor player and making sure the PNG government continues to grow business and bilateral relations with these countries. The Peter O'Neill Foundation Charity Gala raised 5.2 million kina on Saturday night in Port Moresby. The charity gala had successful turnout from major corporate entities all over Papua New Guinea, including several political parties and statutory and government institutions. Launched in August 2013, the O'Neill Foundation established to give back to the people of PNG. The foundation raised 3.8 million kina and so far in 1 year has helped a lot of projects under education, critical medical cases, book bilong Pikinini and so forth. He said the funds raised by the O'Neill Foundation will be managed independently and he assured all funds would be acquitted. Landowners of the Stanley Gas project in Western Province have signed a deal which is set to be the benchmark in terms of landowner participations in projects. The joint venture deal was signed between Stanley Resource Holdings Limited, Pacific Air Limited and Carmichael Builders at the Airways Hotel in Port Moresby last Friday. For years, landowners, especially of major resource projects, have had to settle for level 1 contracts because they often lack knowledge, skills and financial capacity.
Our JV participation will build the capacity of the company to participate in level 2 and level 3 contracts. Our JV partners will, like already I mentioned, we will be looking at level 2 and level 3 contracts. We will own ships. We will buy, now we are prepared to buy 2 helicopters now.
With the support of the Fly River provincial government, they have gone out and sought these 2 partners, one a nationally owned company and the other Australian-based. They have done this to prepare themselves for participation in level 2 and 3 contracts in the proposed Stanley Gas condensate project in the area. The deal has been set at 50-50 benefit sharing for any contracts that are won through this joint venture for a period of 18 months. The developers of this project are Horizon Oil and Talisman. Telefomin District has made history in the civil aviation industry by being the first in the country to own an aircraft.
It was singing and dancing as the quiet station of Telefomin came alive with traditional performances by dancers from Mian Min to welcome Min Air, the pride of Telefomin. On board was the member for Telefomin, Solan Mirisim, and invited guest, East New Britain Governor Ereman Tombaining Jr. Along with Mean Air was the arrival of the Kumul, the government aircraft. On board were Finance Minister James Marape, Civil Aviation Minister Davis Stephen, Northfly MP and Tourism Minister Boka Kondra. Telefomin district is home to 10,000 people. It is only accessible by air, thus Mean Air was a priority for the district under the leadership of local MP Solan Mirisim. These aircraft will not only benefit the people here in Telefomin, but also Oksapmin, Bimin, and many of the isolated small villages located behind these mountain ranges. Minister for Civil Aviation Davis Stephen told the people that West Sepik province was one of the provinces that tries to maintain its rural airstrips. Thus, through the Rural Airstrip Authority, the government will work to improve rural airstrips such as Telefomin.
So now one time member Mipla by upgrade him. This airstrip law here in the next financial year.
Minister Davis said NEC has exempted tax levies for third-level airline operators whose services have improved lives in remote areas of the country. As a token of appreciation for performing MPs, Finance Minister and Taripori MP James Marape presented some funding to assist the district. Mean Air, pride of Telefomin, will be operated by North Coast Aviation and will be based in Kiunga. Regular flights commence this week.
And that's the end of our show. For more business news, or if you would simply like to view this episode again, visit MTV online. That's mtv.com.pg/business. Until next week, have a pleasant evening. I'm Jerry Sefe, and this is Business PNG.